right, so we're going to do a little recording here on imaging the sun with the Dwarf 3. I've never done it before today. I have been practicing a little bit just so that I would know what I was in for when I was recording. But you want to turn the Dwarf away from the sun and install the sun filter. And it just has words on it, so just hold on to that to where you can read the words, place it near it, and then it just magnetically attaches to the Dwarf. And then you can turn the Dwarf towards the sun. Just make sure that you're always doing it with that filter. And all right, so we have got the Dwarf on the screen here. Let's turn it to the wide angle screen so that we can center that sun. One thing I have noticed is these arrows. See, I want the sun to go to the left, and if I click to the left, the sun goes to the right. And so I want to make sure that I am angling it the right direction, and the dials seem to be opposite of what I expect. And once you get that into the center, you could click the screen to that telephoto screen and turn off the wide angle one so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to kind of step away from the Seestars. I have it set up on a deck, and so it's not quite as stable as doing it on cement. So the angling it with the little joystick icons, they're kind of opposite. So if I want it to go down, I have to click the buttons to go up. If I want it to go left, I have to click the buttons to the right. And so they're a little bit different than I expect. I don't see a way to turn on tracking for this object. I can turn off all of the little icons, and I can zoom in, and you can see the sunspots there. They're not super in focus, and so I'm going to turn back on the icons and do an autofocus, and we'll see if it does any better. All right, and then let's zoom in there. It's not a fabulous focusing job. I guess I could do it manually. I need to step further away from it because every time I move, it kind of shakes the deck. I really should do it on cement. So I could fine tune it a little bit here. It's not doing a fine focusing job on those sunspots. So that's a little bit disappointing. And then what I want to do is I'm going to do a photo. And I think what it does is it does a live stacking. Let's get that sun back to a normal size. And let's get it, let's see, in the screen where it belongs. Yeah, it's a little bit different than the Seestar to control. It's just not as easily controlled. Let's see, I guess that's what we're going to get. When I click this button, I turned it to a photo option, and then when I click this button, what it does is it initializes, and then it's going to grab 20 exposures, and then it's going to live stack them. So you can see it gathering the exposures on the left in the top of the screen. Just got 20, and then in the right it's stacking those, so it's on number 8, number 9, and it's stacking those, and then we'll be able to see what kind of image we got from this stacking. And so it does that automatically. With the Seestar, you do that using a video and saving the raw files. All right, there's the image is being saved. And then it's telling me I can edit it and or just close it. When I close it, and let me get it back in the screen, yeah, I just get a little confused here. I want it to go up, so I click to go up, and it goes the opposite way. Let's go into the album here. You can see I've done a few of them, just practicing, trying to to get them. And then there's those sunspots, and they're not fabulous views of the sunspots. We could probably do some editing and sharpen them up a little bit. The sun looks a little fuzzy. We could have changed the shutter to make it brighter. There's a few things we could have done to make them better, but it would have taken effort. This was a time lapse that I had recorded, and that one I just saved a few exposures of a time lapse. So my summary is, let's see, I don't want it to go. I've got to click those buttons of the joystick the opposite direction of what I expect. The focusing isn't fabulous. Even if I do it manually, it's not as good of an image as I get on the Seestars. I don't see a way to turn on tracking so it automatically keeps the sun in the center, and that is a hurdle that maybe I just haven't discovered how to do that yet. So if I were to rank these, the Seestar is definitely easier to use. In the Seestar, you can change all of these things, but you don't really need to know as much as you do here. So you can turn it on to auto, but it's maybe not exactly what you want. So you do have to have a little bit more knowledge about it. You need to know that turning on the gain to too high overexposes it. You can play around with the dials and get it where you want it to be, but it's just not quite as easy to manage as with the Seestar. So if I had to say which one I prefer, it's definitely the Seestar in this case. And I'll let you know if I play around with this a little bit more. This was our first time trying it with the Dwarf3, and so maybe we just haven't discovered how to do things correctly. That's one thing that I like better about the Seestar is the app is a lot more user-friendly, whereas the Dwarf is a little bit more of a learning curve, and I just don't know if there's control somewhere that I haven't discovered yet. And so that's one of the hurdles I've gotten. But we are able to image the sun with the Dwarf3 and get a fairly decent picture. It's just not as good as I can get with the Seestars. So that's my summary of the Dwarf3 and the sun. And if I learn some new things about it and get better at it, I'll let you know and do a video about that. But for now, that's imaging the sun with the Dwarf3. And we're wishing clear skies to everybody, and thanks for watching.